What's good, people? Agent Juice reporting for duty. Invincible. I have seen the first season, and it is quite a show indeed. It takes that oh-so-great subversion of the superhero genre and does the what-if superheroes but dark, and even though this genre is starting to become more and more popular these days, I really believe that Invincible is doing it quite well. You know, sometimes you get these shows that are much more dark and say like, oh, everything would be evil, but I feel like Invincible, even though it's a very, bloody bloodfest of a show, it has this great, reasonable, even-handed realisticness about its whole what-if superheroes existed thing. And I think the best example of this train of logic is my favorite character so far in the TV show of Invincible, which is Titan. So, without further ado, let us go ahead and buckle into our favorite world with superheroes. Let's go ahead and pal around with our father, who is the world's greatest superhero, only to realize that there's a lot more to him than meets the eye. Let's punch people with bloody results, and let's also remember, of course, to punch the like button, and let's dissect Invincible. So, of course, the first thing we do on this channel is to talk about the Speedpaint. This Speedpaint is of my favorite character, Titan, from Invincibles, and I am doing a Godfather homage where Titan is sitting here as Don Corleone. And this, of course, is where spoilers are going to be said a lot. So for the rest of the video, there will be spoilers, because the big spoiler is that Titan, of course, used to work for a crime syndicate under the leadership of Machine Head until he overthrew it and became the new head of this crime syndicate. So, of course, to honor his rise to power, we have Titan as Don Corleone. So, Invincible, the TV series, and I say specifically the TV series because it's what I saw. The comics are, I believe, essentially finished, but as of right now, the TV series of Invincible is about basically two major stories. The first story is the coming of age of Mark Grayson, who is the titular Invincible, and also the mystery behind Omni-Man, Nolan Grayson, who is the father, of course, and the whole kerfuffle with the Viltrumite Empire. Because he, in episode 1, Omni-Man just absolutely massacres the Justice League, or in this case, they're called the Guardians of the Globe, and we're left to wonder, why did he do this? And of course, it's because of this grander scheme that the Viltrumites are not benevolent creatures at all, the way like Kryptonians are, but actually they're more like Saiyans from Dragon Ball, right? Dragon Ball Z and all that, where they're conquerors. So it's kind of like this really great two parallel story things, and of course along the story of our coming of age story with Mark and the whole whodunit with Omni-Man, you have littler stories that go along with it, and one of these little stories, of course, is the story of Titan. Titan's story is very cut and dry. You see, he's hired muscle for this crime lord named Machine Head. And Machine Head has Titan go around doing thuggery, and of course Titan's really good at it because his superpower is the usual, like big, strong, super strength thing. And of course he can cover himself in stone and, have stone armor, so he's also like, super, not invulnerable, but super durable, basically. But there, of course, is this nice little catch. You see, Titan is not in it for greed, he's in it because he has a family to support, and it is heavily implied that his daughter, his little girl, is sick with some kind of like unknown Tiny Tim-esque ailment that requires a large sum of money to deal with. And so that's why I believe that Titan represents the best example of the show's portrayal of a logical portrayal of how people would handle superpowers, because honestly, if you could just be a big, if you could just like punch your way through stuff and you had to make money quick, you would do like a quick and dirty job. And I think that Titan is this great representation of I just got to do what I got to do. Very quickly, we learn that Titan's methods, even though he is brutal and efficient, he has a high body count when he does this stuff, he is not malicious. There are many, many times where even when he's savaging thugs in order to do Machine Head's dirty work, he gives many thugs and, definitely like in other cases, security guards, the chance to just walk away from the situation. In fact, there's a very famous scene where he's stealing something, a bunch of armed security guards come in, and he tells them basically, if you want to do this the easy way, just shoot your guns in the air, say there was a big old struggle, and nobody gets hurt.
Freeze! Your lives worth minimum wage. Or do you want to fire your guns in the air, say you tried your best, and we all walk away happy and alive?
And he just lets them all off completely scot-free, you know, because that's his method. You know, more malicious people would, you know, take great pleasure in tearing apart these doughy meat humans who can't, you know, stand any kind of chance against a superpowered individual, but Titan doesn't do that because he is not a malicious individual. And so, of course, this culminates to the big spoiler, which is that he eventually, with the help of Invincible, manages to overthrow Machine Head and take over his crime syndicate. And even though, you know, this was clearly a hostile takeover of Machine Head's organization, Titan still has intentions, which is the big keyword here, intentions, to do good with this new crime syndicate. Now, again, I'm only judging the TV show because I haven't read the comics, and the comics are obviously much further along. I believe they are complete. But as of right now, I don't know whether or not Titan is going to abuse that power, and so we can only wait and see. So Titan's story is a very interesting one, and even though it's a big deal taking over a crime syndicate, I'm really surprised, well, maybe not surprised, I should say impressed at how, following the logic of this world, that whole kerfuffle is kind of small potatoes in comparison to some of the other things that the plot deals with. You see, there's this big secret conglomerate known as the Global Defense Agency who works with superheroes, and their whole thing is in the first letter, which is global defense, right? So I'm kind of not surprised that the global defense comes in to clean up the mess because Invincible and Titan had this big old fight with a bunch of really superpowered beings during the takeover, but they essentially just ignored the whole thing with Titan, mostly because Titan was able to run away at the end. But the point is that it's funny how they kind of ignored this hostile takeover situation because realistically they got bigger fish to fry. The head of the, I don't know if he's like the head, but he's kind of one of the big heads. It's Cecil, right? Head of the Global Defense Agency. His whole thing is that throughout the first season, you find out that he knows that Omni-Man killed the old Guardians of the Globe, because they got new ones. And so the whole time he's trying to like stay under Omni-Man's radar to figure out why he did it. And so it does not surprise me that even after the Global Defense Agency cleans up after the big fight with Machine Head and arrests him, they kind of don't care. They don't seem to care that Titan basically just kind of walked in after everyone was done sweeping and mopping the blood up and just kind of sat in the big chair and goes like, okay, I'm in charge now. So because they got, like I said, they got bigger fish to fry. And I find that hilarious because there's something so funnily realistic about large conglomerates just kind of overlooking smaller things when they got much bigger problems to worry about. And I kind of like that attention to detail about them not paying attention to certain details. So I'm looking forward to see where Titan's story goes, and of course where the bigger story goes, because, you know, the whole Omni-Man secretly being part of an empire that's trying to conquer the universe is kind of a bigger deal than some, you know, two-bit crook taking over a crime syndicate that only, you know, affects a tiny little city, this insignificant speck on an insignificant speck in the vastness of not so insignificant space. So yes, Invincible has my attention. Yes, there's a lot of this what if superheroes but evil thing going on, like, you know, a big one of course is The Boys, and then of course there was Watchmen before that. And it's a big thing, but the point is that Invincible is a show that is one of the best shows I have seen in quite a while because of just the way they handle the situation in a reasonably logical, sensible way. And I'm emphasizing these words because there's in heavy quotations. Like, there's a lot of hand waving you can do. There's a lot of arguments you can say, well, like, that's not logical, that's not reasonable, that's not sensible. Yes, but it's not like as horrible and depressing as like The Boys or Watchmen. You know, there are some lighter moments. There are some characters. There's quite a handful of characters who legitimately want to do good in this world. But yeah, I'm looking forward to see how the Invincible TV show continues, because I do believe they've been slated to have more seasons, so we're definitely going to see more of it. And so with that, I think we'll go ahead and wrap it up there for today. So you people know what to do. If you like what you see and want to see more, go ahead and tickle those sacred buttons. like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, comment down below, and definitely share the video so you can spread the info far and wide, and you can let me know some info of your own if you want to say something in the comments. And of course, reminder that I do have the Subscribe Star on Patreon, and this Friday is going to be the new video, so if you want to check that out, where I say dirty words, because when you pay for the stuff, I don't have to worry about the YouTube algorithm, so I can say all kinds of naughty things about naughty stuff. And of course, if you wish to stalk me elsewhere on the intermuts, you can go ahead and hit me up on the links on the screen here. And of course, I always say pay special attention to minds.com, because it's the cool alternative website that I've been using, and I love that market diversity. And yes, with all that said, I thank you for spending this time with me. I do hope you all stick around, and until next time, deuces.